Hello and welcome to Traxxion Dynamics. A lot of people never get a chance to see our facility, so this is going to be our way of getting everyone around the world a chance to look inside Traxxion Dynamics and see what we're all about here. So come on with me. This is our administrative area here, and this is where our sales functions and bookkeeping and so forth goes down. We have a nice break room in here for the staff and for customers when they come by while we're working on their bikes. So get a place to have a drink and have a sandwich and so on and so forth. Out this way, we're just going to have all the doors open so we can move quicker. But, out here is our general disassembly and assembly bay. We're able to bring customers' bikes in, get the forks and shocks off, do steering head bearings and that kind of routine stuff. Fully equipped with handy brand lifts, their latest greatest stuff. Make sure bikes go up and down safe. Most of our business takes place through mail order, but through the Goldwing market we've actually had quite a huge increase in the amount of actual on-site bike repair we do. So for the assembly, disassembly stuff, we have everything we need right here. Here we are, we're going to come into our production shop. This room is where we build and package all the kits and for all the products that we sell. All the bits and pieces are brought in from the parts department, laid out here on the table. And we have organized, detailed sheets and drawings that the technicians take the parts and assemble them into pieces, into the sub-assemblies and complete assemblies that will then be packaged and sold to our customers around the world. As the parts come from the manufacturing shop and after they're QC'd, they're brought over here to the parts department and organized in here. And in this area is where we've cataloged and organized all the thousands of parts that are, manufactured over in our machine shop. All these, again, the individual pieces are assembled by the techs into small sub-assemblies. For instance, this rebound mechanism that would go inside of an AK-20 cartridge system, and then matched up with all the other related components, and then off they go to the customer. We stock literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different fork springs at any given moment, all different kinds of rates, hundreds and hundreds of shock springs, again, all kinds of rates. This allows us to accommodate the broadest range of riders and their needs for depending on any model bike they have and what their intended use may be, whether it's touring, sport riding, or just cruising and enjoying the roads. So we'll go off to our service department now. So here we are in our service department. This is where the magic happens, as they say. The technicians in here disassemble, clean, and inspect all the components as they arrive from all over America and sometimes even the world. The components come in from shipping, and they're organized here for the technicians to service. So the parts are taken apart, as you'll see over here. Dave's looking right now. Disassembled, cleaned, and inspected. And, you'll see the mess that comes out, and they don't go back to the customer in that same style. Everything is that actually happens to be a set of Goldwing forks that we're doing as a test set for one of the trike manufacturers. Each technician's work area is set up so that he can disassemble forks and clean and inspect them, disassemble shock absorbers for cleaning and inspection, and then all of the work that we call valving, which is the internal upgrades, they can take place here. Then each of those same areas are used to reassemble the components before they're finally tested. And this is our shock and fork dynamometer here. Martin's doing some testing on this again. A Honda Goldwing shock at the moment. You can run it. This machine is attached to a computer, and very powerful motor cycles this shock up and down. This load cell reads the senses the force in both the compressing and extending directions, and then the forces are translated to the computer and onto a graph. This graph gives us crucial information. It allows us to know whether the shock absorber is working correctly or not, and then go ahead and make adjustments as needed if it's not working properly. So this is a key piece of equipment. If your suspension shop doesn't have a shock dyno, they're not a real suspension shop. If you haven't invested in this, you're not serious about your game. This is our technician's machine shop, and in this area here we have the basic machines and inspection tools that the technicians need to ensure that all the components meet specs. So we're able to measure run out on fork tubes using special fixtures we've created, and straighten them on a press if they need be. We've set up a special machine that we use to polish tubes if we need. So we take special fixture we have and run up and down and polish these tubes. Makes them come out look better than they did from the factory, and helps reduce drag and stiction in the suspension. So that's kind of our own little gizmo we come up with there. So here we are at our shipping and receiving department, and after the work is completed in here in the service shop, everything comes on in here to shipping and receiving. Components are laid out with the appropriate paperwork and documentation. Everything is packaged very carefully to make sure that it arrives back at our customer in perfect working order. We will use all the latest shipping softwares and everything available to us to make sure your package gets where it needs to be, correct and on time. Go over and check out the machine center now. Here we are in the Traxxion Dynamics CNC Machine Center. This is the high-tech side of our operation, where we manufacture all the pieces and components that go into our famous high-performance cartridges, and fork components and shock components. Raw materials brought in via truck to our stock area. Stock saw here to cut it and chop it to the size that we need for each part. It's brought on carts, and we roll it out throughout the shop. Some of it's heavy, some of it's quite lightweight. We work primarily with aluminum and stainless steel parts in all our components. We use top grade aircraft quality materials in everything we construct. We have several CNC lathes. We run all Haas machinery here. We think it's extremely high quality, and we've had great success making really high quality parts with it. CNC lathe, you picture more of a conventional lathe, something like you might see here. This is a traditional manual lathe that you've probably seen lots of craftsmen and tradesmen work with over the years. A CNC lathe is a computer controlled version of that same machine. So this machine's encased in a large housing, and the tools are attached onto a turret. The turret has many tools it can select. You'll be able to see we have all kinds of end mills, drill bits. The tools, some of them are motorized and live driven, which is again a very high-tech sophisticated feature of this lathe. So we can actually bring raw material into the machine. These tools process it. A second spindle will come across the machine and attach to the part. The part will be cut loose, carried to the other side of the machine, and then backwards facing tools will finish the part, and the part will come over and it'll drop on a ramp. Chute opens and finished parts drop into this hopper here, and then we have our finished product landed there. The machine actually takes its own waste out and dumps it in a trash can for us. And with a secondary machine attached to it called a bar feeder, we're able to actually feed the raw stock continuously into the machine. And a machine of this configuration can run automated by itself for days on end. It's really quite sophisticated. On the lathe, we produce the whole variety of parts, and they're manufactured and cut and parted to length, and then in multiple operations sometimes we arrive at a finished product. In the shop here, we're able to make, as you can see, all kinds of shapes and sizes of pieces and parts from billet. These happen to be some parts for different custom motorcycles for manufacturers we work for. I'll show you, get a chance to see a lathe work once here. We're going to load up a rod that goes into our AK-20 cartridges here, and we're going to be processing the second end on them. Frank here's got a blank, and you'll see one end is completely finished. Why don't you load it up, Frank, and show them, let it run. We put the raw material in, the machine clamps on the material. The computer's so sophisticated that if we hit a green button, this machine takes off, it'll run the part, it cuts off the excess stock it doesn't need, the tools will come and cut the appropriate shape, and then the tool will come up and change again, and it'll come back and thread the part. And it'll do this repeatably and accurately, thousands and thousands of times, with only minor control from operators monitoring and checking QC constantly. Some manufacturing operations will QC certain percentages of their parts, but here at our company we QC every single part as it comes off the machine, because in the world of motorcycle suspension, 99% good parts isn't good enough. We need 100% totally correct and accurate parts all the time. So this part will probably be nearly done. Look in the machine here. You'll see the part that did go in as a piece of blank metal now is finished. Let me blow the coolant off that real quick. See the finished threads there? And in this case we only have a simple check on this part. We're using the actual part that mates to it from the factory, which is a nut. We'll check the threads to make sure the machine has threaded the part properly. And sometimes when the tolerances are extremely tight, we'll use specific gauges for this. And then it's just a question of unchucking from the part and cleaning it off, and we have a finished part ready to be used in a kit. And it's that simple. So leaving the area where the lathes are, we're going to come over and check out our CNC mills. Again, the modern version of a traditional, what many people call a Bridgeport, has been converted into a computerized controlled machine that again can make parts repeatably and repeatably with only very little human interaction. So mills are good for making complex shapes out of blocks, out of raw billet. So we might load in a big, 10-pound chunk of raw aluminum like this, and sometime later we'll have an extremely polished and finished looking part coming out of the machine that again is repeatable and accurate to whatever the customer's design or desire is, or in this case, if it's our design, it meets our specifications. Tools are loaded onto the machine, and again it can select and change tools. I'll show you, grab a tool real quick. You can grab and select tools as it so needs. It's all written in the computer program, and then it'll bring the tool down and do whatever cutting and chopping and drilling and threading that it needs to do to give us the part that we're after. These mills are capable of moving in multiple axes at once, and that allows us to make more sophisticated parts. Show you down here on this machine. We have this machine is set up to work in up to 5 axes at once. This is the most sophisticated machinery we have in our shop. We're able to make extremely complex shapes with extremely complex contours. You can get a shot of this. This is actually unrelated to motorcycles. This is a prototype we're doing of a vintage saxophone mouthpiece for a famous saxophonist named David Sanborn. We're involved in a project with him to recreate a very historic mouthpiece that he used for decades. And using the technology we have available to us here, we're able to make some try and pull off some pretty historic recreations of things, as well as doing the normal modern high-tech suspension work we do. The code that runs, can you show the program, Chris? The code that runs, that tells the machine what to do, It's programmed in a piece of software and then brought in and loaded into the machine. All of these are commands that tell the machine where to go and what to do. This thing has the same thing. Will hold up to 24 tools at once. It can load, cut, chop, come down and give us finished, complete, high-tech parts every time. And this is what allows us to bring our products to you all over the world. So what's the net result of all this? Well, with our facilities, our staff, and our machinery, we're able to produce the world's finest aftermarket motorcycle suspension upgrades, like the AK-20 action cartridge system. So we appreciate you stopping by to take a tour of our facility and look forward to doing business with you in the future.